Welcome to It's Crochet O'Clock. My name is Stephanie, and today we are going to be working on part 3 of YaYa's hugs. We are going to be joining our smaller squares that we created in week 2 to our much larger square that we created in week 1. This week we are going to be working in one color, and for me that is Nurturing Fibres Eco Fusion in Fawn. That's the color that we're going to be joining with. I am going to be working with a 4mm crochet hook as we go through this. If you would like to follow along with the written pattern, you can find that in the description box below. You can also find the It's Crochet O'Clock Facebook group where you can meet up with other people that are working on the crochet along with you. Lots of progress pictures. It's always a great thing to do. One tip before we actually get into this week's portion is you want to make sure that both of your squares that you are working on and the one that you are joining to, that's the main square, make sure they are right side up. You are going to be unhappy if you get these attached and you find that one or two are wrong side up. That's not what we're going to want to do. So just make sure that all of your squares are facing right side up as you are attaching them, and let's get right to it. To begin joining, you're going to want to grab your color 2, whatever color that is for you. Mine is Fawn, and you're going to want to grab small square 1. Now this one is small square 1. It starts with color 1 in the center, and then it moves to color 2, color 1, and then color 2. Okay, so we are going to be working with granny clusters again, but we're going to be joining these small squares to the big square. So I'm going to show you how to do that. What you're going to do is you're going to start with a standing double crochet in any corner space. It does not matter which one. So there is our standing double crochet. Now we're going to place 2 more double crochets. And then chain 2. And then a granny cluster in that same corner space. Don't lose your hook. That's bad. We don't want to do that. Okay, now you're going to not chain. We're not going to chain here, and we're just going to jump right into that next space and place another granny cluster there. Basically working another row, or another round rather, of grannies, but we're going to do something a little different here on one of the sides. So we're going to hop over here and place a granny cluster. And then another one. Now we're at a corner, so we are going to place a corner here. Same corner as all the rest of them. And now I am going to zip down this side, placing granny clusters where they should be, because this next corner is where things are going to change. Okay, now I'm at the corner, so I'm going to start the corner with a granny cluster, as they all do. And then I'm going to chain 1. And we're going to pause here, and we are going to grab our big square. And I am sorry, this is very big. Let me see if I can fold this over, because we don't need to see all of it. We only need to see this very bottom portion. So you're just going to attach to any corner, and the attachment is going to take the place of our second chain. So here's the corner for it. You're going to come in from the top, and we're just going to slip stitch. So you're just going to grab that yarn from the back, and you can see that naturally I just twist my hook and pull it through. You just pull it through and slip stitch. There you go. And now you've attached it. And now we are going to make another granny cluster. Okay, now here normally we would not chain in between these, but we need to because we are attaching here. We're not really chaining, we're just going to put a slip stitch over here into the, whoop, don't lose your hook. Yeah, don't do that. So we're skipping this cluster on the main square. You're going to insert your hook in between those two clusters, pull up and slip stitch there, and then come back to your small square, place a granny cluster. It's kind of awkward at first, but once you get the hang of it, it's super easy. You can do it super quick, and you won't even have to think about it. So we finished this granny cluster. Again, we're going to come over here. We're going to skip this next granny cluster on the big square. We're going to insert our hook, grab that yarn, pull it through, and slip stitch. Skip this cluster on the small square and make a granny cluster in between. Oop, without losing my yarn. I'm having a bad day with losing my yarn. Happens to all of us, I suppose. Now we've finished this, we are going to go back to the main body. We last attached there. We're going to skip this cluster, insert our hook into the next cluster, grab that yarn, pull it through, slip stitch, skip this cluster on the small square, granny cluster in between, and now we are going to skip this. We're going back to the main square, skip this next cluster, and insert our hook, grab that. I am doing really bad with losing my hook today. I apologize. There we go. Skip this cluster and go into the corner. Now corners, we have to treat the corners just as we did that first attaching corner. It counts. So we're going to place a granny square or a granny cluster there, and then we will chain one because this is a corner. We're going to go back to the main square, skip this next cluster, insert our hook between right there, slip stitch for the last part of our chain two, and then come back to this same corner space and place a granny cluster. Now you're going to finish off this square just like you would normally. Just place granny clusters in between without any chain spaces, and you're going to fasten off here, and then I will be back in just a flash to show you how to attach the second square, because it's the same premise, but it's a little bit different, and I want to make sure that you understand it. But that's what it looks like. Okay, so the next square that will be joined is square 2, and that is the one that starts out with the color 2 in the center, and then color 1, color 2, and then color 1. I have already started one edge, so if you haven't done that, you might want to pause this video. I've started my corner, I've made my 3 granny clusters here, and I am at this second corner here. And for this one, by the way, make sure that both of them are right side up, because you don't want to end up attaching a square backwards, because then it will look lopsided and you won't be happy with it. So for this, we're going to attach it the same way. We're just going to start attaching before we did this first square. So I'm going to start my corner, granny cluster, and then chain 1, and we're going to pause there. Now for this part, we're going to pick up the main square, which has this smaller square, square 1, already attached to it, but we are going to join to this corner here on square 1. So you're just going to insert your hook into that corner, chain 2 space, pull through, and slip stitch. Then come back to this square that we're working on and make a granny cluster to finish off this corner. Now we need to slip stitch, so we're going to skip this cluster from the corner, insert our hook between, pull through, and slip stitch, come back to our working square, granny cluster in the next space, and now we're going to go back over here. I apologize for my loud neighbor. Pull through and slip stitch, and then go back to the working, granny cluster, and then come back up, insert, and slip stitch. Granny cluster on our working square. And then slip stitch into the next one. And now we are at our corner, so we're going to start our corner here. There's the first granny cluster, chain 1. Now, this is always a question that I get asked about this join. We're going to join right here to this same corner space. It's not really a corner space because we're working along the edge of this bigger square, but this is where the other corner joined, so that is also where we are going to join because this is a corner. So there's that slip stitch. Now we're going to complete this corner. Now we are attaching to the main square. So I have to turn my work. So this is where we just attached for the corner. We're going to skip this cluster and go right here in between, grab that yarn and pull it through, make a slip stitch, skip this cluster on the working, and make a cluster, hop back over here, skip this cluster, insert, grab that yarn, slip stitch, go back to our working, skip this cluster, hop back over to the main, skip this cluster, insert, same thing as the last square. This part of attaching to the main square is the exact same as the first. It was just the start that was a little bit different. Hopping to this next space. And then corner. Chain one, go over to the main square, skip this cluster, in between the next slip stitch, and then come back and complete this corner. So you are going to join 2 more squares on this side in this fashion. You are going to grab another square 1. Remember that starts with color 1 in the center, and that will be your next join. And you will join it in the same way that we just joined this one. And then you'll have another square 2. That square starts with color 2 in the center, and you'll join it in the same fashion. And I will meet you back to show you how we join for the corner squares. Okay, I have worked all the way down to the end. You can see that they match up perfectly. Now it's time to attach a corner. And for that, I have grabbed small square 3. These are our corner squares. We only made 4 of these, and I have already started and I've made 2 sides here, just like we did with our very first square that we attached. I worked up 2 sides, and now I have stopped right here in the middle of our corner, and I am going to chain 1 because it's a corner, and then I am going to grab the small square, the last small square that we attached, and we're going to attach in the corner just as we've done the other ones. It's not a whole lot different. Insert into that corner space and slip stitch, and then complete our corner with a granny cluster. Back over to this already attached square and slip stitch. And then on the working square, granny cluster. Back over to this square, slip stitch, and then granny cluster on the working, and then slip slip stitch on the one that's already attached. Granny cluster on the working square. And one more space left there. And we're going to slip stitch to it. Now we're at our corner. So granny cluster. Chain one. Now you're going to come over here and you're going to want to attach it to this small square, to the corner of this small square, but that's not where we're attaching it to. We are attaching it to the corner space of this main body square. This is where people always mess up here. Whenever you're working on corners, you always attach it to the main square. So we're going to insert into that corner space and slip stitch. And then finish off this corner. And then you just need to finish off that row, or that round, rather, finish off that side and fasten off, and that will be your corner. And then you'll start it all over again. You're going to do this 3 more times, and your first square is going to be a small square 1 over here on this side, and you are going to attach it to this corner space just like we did the first one. Everything is exactly the same, except for you're going to be also attaching to this corner space. So just remember that whenever you get to corners, corners are always attaching here, unless it's like this one where we were attaching to the small square. So I'm going to leave you to repeat this process 3 more times, and I will be back to show you what it looks like, if I can get it all into frame for you, when they're all attached. And this is what it looks like when it's put together. It's too large to fit all into frame, but you can see here a corner and then the sides and how it meets up nicely. So that is the end of part 3 for YaYa's Hugs. I hope that this video was helpful for you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. Make sure you click on the little bell icon to get notifications each time I upload, and I will see you next week.